Newcastle's a strange old club, aren't they? 10th in the league at the moment. Have not had the best season so far. Some have started to question whether Eddie Howe's taken Newcastle as far as he can. How massive is the Champions League for him? And also, when people are questioning if he has taken Newcastle as far as he can, do you think maybe there's a question, have Newcastle taken themselves as far as they can for Eddie Howe? I.e., his hands are tied, right, with regards to getting big players in?
Yeah, potentially. For sure. He's done some wonderful things since he's been there. The last 2 results have been decent. Beating Villa at Villa, which was decent. Crazy decisions in that game. Beating Spurs. Listen, there is an argument, and I'm sure what he'd like to do is, but unfortunately, as you said there with the whole PSR, is we've seen a lot of top teams almost have to kind of rebuild again, rip it up, and then slowly but surely start to rebuild. But his problem is that he never really gets the chance to rebuild because their hands are so tied in terms of the financial situation. They very rarely be able to keep their best players. So Isak obviously left last season for a lot of money. It looks like Tonali might leave at the end of this season. So they're almost getting players in, but their best players are leaving. So they're never really moving forward. So in some respects, I am like, maybe he's taking them as far as he can. But also as well, I'm not quite sure what more Newcastle... I don't think Newcastle fans they're usually quite realistic.
But Newcastle as a club have got a ceiling at the moment, right?
Of course they have. Of course, because financially they can't get to that. They can't allow. It won't allow them to hang on to the likes of Isak,
That's right,
Gomes, Tonali, and add better players to Isak. Add better players to the squad because they just can't do it. Yeah. So, yes, the Champions League is going to be massive. I don't think they'll win it simply for the fact the squad's not big enough. Unfortunately, they've signed Vissa, they've signed Wolf Amada, and neither up until this point have looked like they've got the kind of.
They paid a lot for Vissa as well, didn't they?
Yeah, like 50 million or something.
A little bit too much.
And listen, he had a really good season at Brentford last year, so 20 goals, he would probably say, well, listen, for 20 goals in the Premier League, I'm worth it.
Yeah.
But neither have really looked like they could step up and week in, week out, like Isak did, go and score you that 20, 25 goals, which is, by the way, not easy to do.
No. What's a good result for Newcastle tonight when you're playing away games in the Champions League? You can lose, right? But just make sure the tie's alive when you bring them back to your gaff. Like 1-0, 2-1's okay. Away goals.
If there's a 1-goal gap, I expect going back to Newcastle, obviously the hostile place that is. I always think that's a good result for Newcastle. I think they can bring that back. 2-0, I still won't write them off because again they're going back to St James's, but you don't want the tie to get out of hand.
No.
Where Qarabag get to St James's Park and just park the bus and don't move. Especially with the likes of what Gomes is out for a while now, isn't he? With the injury, neither of your strikers are really... Probably their best performer in terms of attacking areas has been Harvey Barnes.
Well, I was going to ask you about strikers. Voltemada, he scored in the FA Cup over the weekend. First goal in 15 games, I think it was. He had a great start to life at Newcastle, but his form has taken a bit of a dip. Reports, I don't know if you've seen it today in the newspaper, suggest he might want to move back to Germany. Obviously a bit homesick. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, when he first came, and I said that on the show, I'm not saying he's the exact same because he's not as good as this player I'm about to name, but the way he used to move with the ball and a couple of his touches remind me Berbatov-like. Do you know what I mean? In terms of the way that he used his body and stuff.
Yeah, I do know exactly what you mean.
But it just hasn't been prolific enough. And now we know that the Premier League is difficult and we know that it can catch you out. Like if you're even 1% off it, it's a difficult league to score goals in. I think he might look better in his second season now after he's had his first one. But I mean, you don't want to kind of... For me, the Premier League's the best in the world. You don't want to leave after 1 year and people going, he weren't good enough.
No.
At least, you got to at least give it a couple of years. Because I think in his second season, it does become a slightly... I won't say easier, but defenders know... You know a bit more about defenders. You know exactly more so what you're doing. I'd like to see him stick around again. Okay.
Last question we'll take calls. That game, by the way, Newcastle in action live on the talkSPORT network tonight. We'll keep you up to date with that. And we'll have team news as well as soon as we get it, which is very soon, by the way. What's good enough for Eddie Howe and Newcastle in this competition?
Quarterfinals, maybe.
Last day. I think that's unbelievable achievement.
Unbelievable achievement.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I just think that for Eddie Howe, I mean, there's nowhere on the planet I'm getting rid of him. You're crazy.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Right, let's take your calls. We're talking all things Newcastle. How big is this competition for them? Aaron's a Newcastle fan. Hi, Aaron.
How's it going, guys? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you today?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Just sick of listening to these guys talking about getting Eddie Howe out of the job. It's just, I don't know why they're even considering something like that. I think it's absolutely crazy. I'm a Newcastle fan all my life. Obviously, I'm not from Newcastle, so maybe I look at it from a different perspective. But at the moment, Newcastle are breaking records, club records. They've won a cup. If they beat Qarabag, as far as I'm aware, that's a club record in advancement in the Champions League. And, like, you know, if Eddie Howe was to go, Yeah, where does he go? He goes into any of the top jobs. He's been talked about England until Tuchel signed a new contract.
Yeah.
They're talking about the United job as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And Crookie said it last week. You've said it there before the break, guys. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, listen, I think Eddie Howe's a top manager, and I think Newcastle would be silly to get rid of him because I think he's done everything by the book. He's made them competitive. He's made them hard to play against. He's won them a trophy. He's got them back in the Champions League. I mean, he's pretty much ticked every box because on this list for Eddie Howe wasn't going to be win the Premier League, win the Champions League. It's just it's unrealistic. No. But if you can get us in the Champions League again, win us a cup.
That'd be incredible. They'll win the FA Cup this year. It's insane.
Yeah.
Phil was Newcastle fan. He's up next. Hi, Phil.
Hello there. How are you doing, guys?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm not bad. It's lovely to talk to you, first-time caller, but I listen to you all the time.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Well, it's nice to hear from you today. What made you pick up the phone for the first time?
It's just when you're talking about Newcastle and all the hands tied and has the club gone far enough with Eddie Howe?
Yeah.
What's to stop the club spending the money on transfers and then getting the points deduction? Why can't they do that?
I mean, that's a great point. But let's just say they spent 300 million more than they should, and they got a 16-point deduction. You're probably back where you are now, right?
No, but we'd have a better team.
Yeah, you would, but
what, for next season, you mean?
Yeah, why not?
Yes, I mean, it's an unbelievable call. It's a great call.
I don't understand why they haven't looked at that saying, right, we've got enough money in the bank. We can afford to drop a little bit further down the league and we're going to get points deducted. Yeah. But at the end of it, we're having a fighting chance. So, things happen with Villa.
If you exaggerate a point to prove a point, right, you could easily spend 750 million on players, drop into the Championship because you are deducted 40 points, drop to the Championship, and then keep all those players on your wage bill because you can afford it, win the Championship, and then you go back up and start again. Exactly. Almost right a year off. Unbelievable.
You've done your time.
Yeah,
exactly.
You've done your time.
Yeah, but aren't you going to keep getting deductions because you're not balancing the books?
No, that's it.
No, but every season you've got to be within a certain limit. So every season.
No. You've got your points deduction. You've been punished.
Yeah, but what happens in the next season when again
do it one season?
No, but you're still going to be getting punished every season.
You go and spend it in one season. Exactly.
Well, so it's over 3. It's over 3 years. Yeah. So I don't know.
It's like robbing a bank, burying the money, doing 10 years, and coming out and taking the money, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. By the way, that's bad, kids. Don't ever do that. I just want to point that out.
So
crime doesn't pay.
So basically, we had for teams cheating.
Well, it's not cheating. It's bending the rules, right?
Well, it's cheating.
Yeah.
You're cheating.
That's exactly what it is. I've got no problem with that.